Chapter 25. The Real Actor Makes an Offer. A week or two passed. I went back to my old routines. The literacy volunteers, some fill-in document work at the museums, lunch with casual friends, but there was a dullness to it all. Nothing excited me. I thought nothing ever would. And then Amelia called. She and her neighbors were planning an elegant fundraising dinner to raise money to save a nearly extinct bird whose only habitat was in their backyards and some adjoining areas of the Presidio. Someone with a glamorous house right on the water and plenty of space had offered to host the affair, and a number of actors and celebrities who lived in Amelia's neighborhood had agreed to attend. Wouldn't I come too? Please? Well, I certainly didn't see myself as a celebrity, but I understood Amelia's insistence. I hadn't seen her since the disastrous dinner party. Hadn't seen David either. So, yes, you did, because he came and told you about animal control. Sally called regularly, and sometimes we talked, but by and large, I'd walked away from the family. This party, I thought, would be a chance to stick a toe in the water and see if I wanted to swim again. 200 people were attending the party. There wouldn't be enough privacy to allow unwanted questions. As I was getting off the phone, Mimi stopped by and invited herself along. I resisted at first, but then it seemed like a fun idea. The thing is, society, at this level, is insistently coupled. I didn't especially feel like asking Amelia to assign me an escort, but I certainly didn't want to go with David, who sometimes took me to these affairs. Going with a woman, and an older woman at that, would be so cutting edge. The affair was quite glamorous, even as affairs in Amelia's part of town go. The mansion on loan was enormous. From all we could see, the ground floor was used only for entertaining. When we arrived, a band was setting up at one end of a huge empty room. Another room, of similar size, was full of tables, dressed in shiny cream tablecloths. They looked like balloons settling near the floor as they deflated. Cocktails and champagne flowed in tents on the lawn outside, which offered splendid views of the Golden Gate. I remembered Shadow's ashes flowing out to sea beneath the cliffs, but only for a moment. We drank, we dined. David and Amelia and Sally were all suitably impressed by my celebrity companion. By the time we headed for the ballroom, I was feeling quite a bit happier than I had in some time, and that was only partially due to the plentiful champagne and wine. Perhaps it was a buzz in the gathering crowd, but my eyes were drawn to a group of men standing at the other side of the ballroom. As I looked their way, the crowd pulled like a curtain, and suddenly there was nothing between us but highly polished parquet floor. Time stopped. The crowd of partygoers became so much wallpaper. I felt my ears preparing to pop as though we'd been elevated room and all, a few 100 feet into the air. That face, that body. Briefly, I felt Mimi's restrained hand on my arm, but the force propelling me too strong. It threw me across the room and into the arms of... Well, I knew my mistake the moment our chests touched, but by then my arms were around his neck and my face was buried in his shirt front. I pulled back and looked up into a startled but pleasant face. He looked distinctly uncomfortable, but not angry. "You have brown eyes," I said, verifying what I already knew. This wasn't Shadow, and the rest of the truth thundered into me. I stepped back. "Oh my God, you're the actor!" My tongue was tying itself in knots. "Oh dear, what's his name?" A rumble of laughter reminded me that perhaps 100 people were witnessing all this, so I was grateful to hear Amelia charging to the rescue, the clatter of her heels coming across the floor toward us. "You've met my daughter-in-law, Alice. How nice!" Her hand was on my back. "Say hello, Alice." I was still looking at the actor. The resemblance, of course, was uncanny. "Please forgive me," I began. "Why, of course he'll forgive you, Alice," Amelia said. "You see, Alice used to have a suitor who looked remarkably like you. Didn't you play a doctor on TV? Really, you could be twins." The actor's expression changed from amusement and a bit of discomfort to recognition and then curiosity. His head bent toward mine, and he whispered, "Could it be that your friend likes to chase the dogs in Mountain Lake Park?" I nodded. "And he's fond of silk underwear." "It's a silk linen blend, actually," I said. He grabbed my wrist firmly. "You'll excuse us," he said to Amelia. "Alice and I have some business to discuss." Something in his expression made the crowd give way around us, and the actor headed for the patio doors with me in tow. Then we were out in the semi-darkness and onto the nearly deserted lawn. He gestured to a white wrought iron bench on the side of the patio, and I sat down, trying to muster some decorum. Like some determined detective, he probably played one of those too. As time and career, he paced the flagstones. Finally, he turned to me. "I'm not angry," he began, though his demeanor suggested he might just be a tiny bit. "Of course, I have a publicist who keeps track of these things, and I've been very interested in my San Francisco exploits over the last few months, since I've been someplace else all the time, usually in other countries." "I wanted to pay for the underwear," I said. "You know, I offered a credit card, but the salesman—" I took a deep breath. "It was expensive for underwear, but I can afford it. Please let me send you a check." The actor was smiling, not a sweet or by any means innocent smile, but a smile nevertheless. "Your friend has rather good taste. As long as I was paying the bill, I asked them to send along a few more pairs in each style. Not bad." He sat beside me. "Anyway, as I said, I'm not angry. In fact, I'm intrigued. You see, I've developed a real dislike for publicity over the years. It's just inevitable. It's in all of my contracts. Still, I'd do almost anything to avoid smiling and answering the same questions in the same words 137 times, and before I've had breakfast. It's really torture. And then the tabloids. Well, I don't want every Tom, Bert, and Nancy thinking they know all about my private life." A waiter came out and set a bucket of ice with champagne and 2 glasses next to the bench. "I suppose," the actor went on, "that's why I'm so interested in this guy who's been cavorting around San Francisco, getting me into the newspapers I try so hard to stay out of." He'd taken a sharp right turn there, and I found myself hanging for dear life onto the conversational fender. "I understand he looks exactly like me." "Oh, yes," I said, "except he has green eyes. I also thought Shadow looked a bit younger, but then some time had probably passed since the television appearance. In fact, it might have been a movie made years ago. Anyway, it seemed a bit rude to point that out. Actors are supposed to be rather vain." "That's perfect," he said, filling the glasses and passing me one. "Most people don't know what color eyes I have anyway, and we can always get him contacts. Do you suppose he'd be interested in a job?" "A job?" I repeated, just to be sure I was hearing that right. "Jail, after all, began with the same letter." "Doing what?" "Being me," he said. "You see, my agent insists that I do these publicity gigs, but actually all they need is someone who looks like me and is willing to memorize a few sentences from my last movie." I emptied half my glass. The actor seemed to mistake my astonishment for coyness. "So what is his name?" he asked rather testily. "Tell me about this fellow. Does he live around here?" "His name is Shadow," I said, refusing to fall back to the old lie. "He used to live with me, a few blocks away. He's been gone now for quite a while." "Is there any way I could get in touch with him? Maybe you have a phone number," he said. I shook my head. "He's gone," I repeated, with just a wee bit of catch in my voice. "I don't think he's coming back." The actor put his arm around my shoulder and gave me the most chaste of hugs. He smelled faintly of citrus. "He's left you. I'm sorry. Men can be real jerks." "Oh, he wasn't a jerk at all," I insisted. "It's just that he was a cat." And there it was out of the bag. "A cat?" the actor said, thinking, I suppose, that cad began with the same letter. Yes, Shadow was my cat. When he decided to become a man, he was supposed to see you. He happened to see you on TV, and he liked the look of you, or he thought I did. So he made himself a body just like yours. He loved me very dearly, and he didn't just run off. Well, of course not, the actor said, in that tone people reserve for idiots and children under 5. He even patted my hand. I yanked it away. Of course you don't believe me. Who would? I said, and then the answer presented itself. Shirley. Yes, I thought I saw her at dinner. She was with you, wasn't she? Shall I get her? I mean, Shirley would believe me, I said. She knows all about it. All about what? I took the bottle and refilled my glass. Well, I suppose she might not know all about it, but she does know that at least one cat is walking around the world looking exactly like her. Really? You thought you saw the real Shirley before, but it was really my former cat. Her name is Mimi. She says Shirley is a very advanced soul, and has no difficulty at believing that a cat can take human shape. Shirley was happy to share her physical image with Mimi. The actor smiled. That does sound a bit like Shirley, or at least like what the papers say about her. I wonder, I said, if she was looking for someone to do public appearances for her, too. He laughed then. You mean impersonating celebrities is a sort of cottage industry for cats? I laughed too, full of champagne. Oh no, I said. Cats are far too busy advising the earth spirits and guarding the gates of immortality. I can't imagine they'd have time for public appearances. Still laughing, the actor took a card out of his jacket pocket and scribbled something on the back of it. Well, just in case, here's a number where your friend can reach me. Of course, I'd pick up all his expenses, and I'm sure we could settle on an appropriate commission for his efforts. The actor got up. You really have quite a clever imagination. This has been most entertaining.